Now, more than 1 billion naira has been paid as ransom to kidnappers in 1 year, and that's according to a report by SBM Intelligence. The report called Grim Reaping. SBM Intelligence says Nigerians paid 1.048 billion naira as ransom between July 2023 and June 2024. More than 7,500 people were kidnapped across the country within the period. Although abductors demanded 11 billion naira as ransom within the period, only over 1 billion naira was paid. SBM identified Boko Haram's resurgence in the northeast, armed gangs in the north central and the northwest, secessionist violence in the southeast, and gang-related issues in the southwest as some of the security issues confronting Nigeria.
Well, let's bring in a former State Director at the Department of State Services, Mike Ejiofor. Good to see you and thanks for your time. You know, the issue here is really worrisome. But the issue, how do we marry this with that phrase, no ransom was paid? There's never been a time that the security agents or agencies have told Nigerians that a certain amount of monies have been paid. And you put those side by side with the National Assembly that has outlawed ransom payments. So what truly are we dealing with at the moment?
Well, it's a very delicate balance. You know, first of all, government will not encourage or pay ransom from statements. Most of the ransom actually are paid by the victim's relations, at times without the knowledge of the security agents. So if the security agencies are not involved in the payment, they will come out to own responsibility. But my worry from your intro, how was the computation, the data, you know, for me, without relying on any data, I think it should be more than that, more than 1 billion. You know, but for again, so the compilers of this data to say that 11 billion was demanded. I don't know whether they were working with the security agencies, compiling this, or the reports were being made to them in the office during the research. So it's worrisome, we must agree, and very disturbing, the issue of kidnapping and payment of ransom. But I think we should also be careful not to create panic by these figures that are being bandied, because I don't know the basis or the reliance. There are.
I want to believe that this SBM, you know, they've followed the timeline. Every time a report of kidnapping is put out there, I guess, you know, they sit in their offices because this is what they do. They'll focus on, you know, collating the numbers and making something of it at the end of the day. Now, they went on in this report to say, look, kidnappers have gone beyond you know, just focusing on the high and mighty. They've spread their wings. This apparently is an industry in Nigeria, and ransom payment doesn't seem to be helping matters, is it?
Well, you know, it doesn't at all. In fact, it has become, like you say, it has become a franchise. You know, that people, I think it's the quickest way to make money now by criminals and the bandits. Is the quickest way for them to make money, despite the fact that the government has continued to emphasize that cash shouldn't be moved in that way. But I think, except you are affected or you are involved in that matter, if your relation is involved, you must be desperate to ensure the safe release of your despite government efforts.
Well, you know, no doubt we understand the kind of situation that such families will be in, but help us make sense now about stemming the tide, this worrisome, trend. One had thought that the NCC, the Communications and Digital Economy Minister and his team, rather teams, he has a lot of them, can help work with the security agents to get some of these people, because the business of kidnapping, from what we have heard so far, is carried over the phone. How is it that this, till this date, we hardly get a lot of people apprehended? Plus, again, marked monies.
Yeah, you see, for marked money, yes, we can go ahead if they get the cooperation, if the security agencies get the cooperation of the victims' relations. We can talk of marked money, but government is discouraging payment of ransom. You recall when the central bank governor, Emefiele's wife, was kidnapped. Marked money was used, and it led to the arrest of those people. So I think we should encourage, let the security agencies also cooperate with the victims' relationship who are ready to pay ransom, so that it will serve as lead in getting this.
But it's quite interesting that when it's a high-profile kidnap situation, the security agencies get to it and they quickly, rescue the victims. But when it's just ordinary Nigerians, I mean, it's left to just go on and until we all forget and continue with our lives. 7,500.
We've not gotten an answer on the phone issue.
Yeah.
See, on the issue of phone, because that's also very critical. What they have learned to do now, the kidnappers, is to use the victim's telephone to make calls. They don't even stop there. They have now started using diversion. There was a case I handled about 3 months ago. The call log was reading from Katsina, and the incident was in Delta State. So they divert the security agencies, go and make calls somewhere, and where they have their victims. They don't also stay in that place. They leave that place. They go to areas where you don't have network.
So these people have strategy, and they are steps ahead of the security agencies.
They are not steps ahead.
Because that seems to be what we're hearing.
They are not steps ahead. But the point remains that, as security agencies are adopting new measures, they're also countering.
Right.
Not that they are ahead of them, but I can tell you that there are measures being introduced now to ensure that this thing is brought to a tolerable level, because you cannot completely eliminate it.
Well, we'll have to say thank you very much for joining us. 7,568,000 people kidnapped within that 1 year, and that's just a conservative figure based on what,
That number is high.
It is high, right?
It's high.
Now,
So
how much more are they?
I doubt it. It's high.
You're saying the numbers should be lower than this?
Oh, sure.
Really?
7,000
it's mind-blowing.
cases.
But it might just be reality. That should
It's
scare
quite
anybody.
high and disturbing.
How best can security agencies begin to respond to this so we don't have even worse figures the next time around?
Well, I think we don't have to also rely completely on security agencies. Let us look at mass citizen participation. I was reading a report today that some people have also taken it upon themselves in Zamfara State to fish out the bandits. So we all need to be involved in, the citizens need to be involved. Volunteer information to give them the necessary support, because everybody is at risk.
Yeah. Mike Ejiofor is former DSS director. Thank you very much for
Thank you for
joining us and availing us as always.